And I think we will make a start. So hello, everybody, and thank you very much for your time. On today's webinar, we are going to give a little bit of insight into BBD Boom's onboarding process for sales and marketing hubs. We're going to talk a little bit about process and then we're going to hand over to Clarinda to do a marketing hub demo and then hand over to Tommy to do a sales hub demo. There will be a section at the end for questions, but please feel free to post questions as you go through, and we'll try and pause at relevant points to answer some of those questions based on the current hubs that we're looking at. So quick introductions. My name is Andy Silvers. I'm your host for today's webinar. I am the head of client success at BBD Boom. My role essentially is to oversee all of our client activity. So that is, doesn't matter whether they're a low spending, high spending customer. My role is essentially to make sure that everyone has the best experience with us as possible. And when they finish their onboarding, when they finish their initial piece of work, they decide to partner with BBD Boom a little bit further on to do some more work. We are also joined today by the lovely Clarinda Cheon. Clarinda, would you like to give yourself a quick introduction?
Yeah, sure. I'm Clarinda. I'm a HubSpot strategist or client strategist. Basically, my role is to make sure that our clients are using HubSpot to the best of their ability. So I usually have my finger in all of the clients' CRM to a certain extent. So beyond just, doing implementation work, we also look deeper into the background of the business model and just make sure that everything is set up to the best way possible for their processes. So that's essentially my role.
Thanks, Clarinda. And if you've been involved in any of the BBD webinars before, you'll recognise this face. This is Mr. Tommy Price. Tommy, could you give yourself a quick introduction, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Pleased to have everyone on board today. So my name's Tommy, CRM consultant here at Boom. So really day to day, I work with our customers on more of the technical areas of HubSpot. So everything CRM integrations, migrations, particularly HubSpot onboardings, whether that's Sales Pro or enterprise level. And today we're going to be talking a lot about the sales features.
Amazing. Thank you, Tommy. So if today's the first time you've come across BBD Boom, we are a HubSpot Elite partner. We currently manage approximately 200 customers. That ranges from sales onboardings to sales and marketing onboardings, pro to enterprise onboardings, service operation hub, as well as more detailed technical requirements like system integrations and what we would refer to as a master plan, which is essentially looking to see the role that HubSpot plays within your business and then working to see how that fits into your business as well as other systems that you might have. So today's agenda, we're going to go through a little bit of an onboarding process. We're going to hand over to Clarinda for Marketing Hub demo. We're going to hand over to Tommy for Sales Hub demo, and then a little Q&A at the end. So I'm going to start with myself. So how do we work with our customers? Essentially, we work very closely with HubSpot reps. Doesn't really matter what territory you work in. We work with reps where they might have a requirement for a Sales Pro onboarding, a Marketing Hub onboarding, or they may come to us with a customer that is in their buying cycle and they don't really know yet how they want to use HubSpot and how it works with other systems like Microsoft Dynamics, Salesforce, Xero, and just how all that pieces together. So essentially, we will go through a bit of a scoping exercise. We will work with the HubSpot reps, looking at exactly what you need HubSpot for, and then how that strategy could start to look like. And someone like Tommy might get involved very early on in the scoping phase and look at, okay, let's detail every single user case that you have, and let's look at how we can apply that then to a Sales Pro or a Sales Enterprise onboarding. Once a customer becomes active with us, we go into what we class as a kickoff. Kickoff will be my team getting involved, introducing themselves to the customer and setting expectations. So going through timelines, going through key milestone meetings, going through expectations of the customer. Expectations of the customer is a really key one because most people think on an onboarding, hey, we've just bought a piece of software, we can turn it on, it's going to work for them straight away. That's not the case in most software worlds. There's a little bit of customization that needs to happen. So there's elements where we're going to be looking to pull information out of you, challenging the status quo. So you might say that the process to get from A to D is very straightforward, but we might find that there's actually a further step involved in that we want to actually explore with you, which we will take the lead on. We go on to what we class as discovery and strategy. So discovery for us is normally bite-sized sessions where we will start to work with you, explore your processes. We use a piece of software called Whimsical. Whimsical allows us to map a user journey. A user journey could be from social platforms, first engagement, all the way through the process to being closed won. But that means looking at inbound journeys that people come through, all the different stages they come through, all the parts of automation that need to happen, maybe the different elements of people that need to get involved in the process to help with sign off, to help with referrals, or even credit checks. There's an element of lots of different things that need to be pieced together, which is why we believe in mapping the whole user journey out from start to finish so that we can present something back to you which shows you exactly what that user journey looks like. We'll also start to go through things like what fields you need to have. So there's an element of custom fields that come out of the box, but then there's an element of some things which we call classes and custom objects where we might go and create something new for you, which allows you to be able to do things which are what we would say is outside of the current default way of working. Once the discovery is finished and we have presented back to you a full scoping document, we will go into the critical phase of the project, which is the implementation phase. Implementation is essentially the Boom implementation team building everything that's agreed in that scope document. So we will take all of this away and we will have key milestones meetings with you to present, demo, show what we've been working on and what the next step looks like. So from a customer perspective, you know exactly when you're expected, what's expected of you, and key sign-off points for you to bring yourself and other elements of your team into. There will also then at the very final part of the implementation process be training. Training is, I like to think, is a custom. We will generally work with our customers and find out how they would like to be trained and then build a training plan around that. Not everyone would want their whole team to sit on a training call for 2 to 3 hours. So it may be that we do bite-sized training sessions based on the customer's requirements that we work with. Some people like to have training face-to-face. Some people like to have training virtually. So again, we like to understand what our customers' requirements are and then build a training plan based on that. And then 9 times out of 10, we have a all singing and dancing system which is ready to be used. But the work doesn't stop there. We would like to think then that there's more elements of HubSpot which could be brought into the mix, brought into the conversation, and further optimization could happen, which is where you go from taking a great system to an amazing system. If you do have questions about process, the way that we work with our customers, please feel free to pop them into the questions. And like I said, at the end, we can go through and have a chat about any more of that in more detail. So Clarinda, tell us a little bit more about Marketing Hub. How do we use Marketing Hub with our customers?
So yeah, before I actually dive into the demo, there was a few visuals that I set up as tabs that I'd like to share in terms of the onboarding process as well. So if you don't mind, I'm going to start taking over your screen and just share some tabs available, if that's okay.
Go for it.
I think I can't overtake it until you stop sharing. So cool, thank you. Okay. All right, just making sure everyone's seeing this. So I've just got a dummy demo whimsical board here. So that was what Andy was referring to at the beginning in terms of how we onboard our clients. So what we really enjoy doing is just mapping out the processes of our clients' businesses from start to finish. So as you can see in this whimsical board, it's just a random one that we usually work off. The way we map out the board is through buyer journey stages as well. So we do this very often with all our clients, basically starting from when they first hear about the business. So they're a new lead all the way down to when they become a customer. And then through there, we map out what happens at every single stage and what we can provide as value using HubSpot to enable that process to be more efficient, more automated, and more data-driven as well. So I just thought it would be useful to have a look at this. And then, if we do work with any kinds of onboarding, we always start with the whimsical map. When we move on to a sales or marketing onboarding, and before I dive into a demo, there's a couple of properties that I think for marketing especially is really important to know about in HubSpot. So the first one is lifecycle stage. So this lifecycle stage, recently there was a new update in HubSpot where you can now customize these. But prior to this, they had some lifecycle stages that were pretty much fixed. And I would say that the way we think of the buyer journey is very much based on the lifecycle stages preset by HubSpot. Basically, the main stages that you're looking at, which I think you can see down here, these are kind of the standard HubSpot properties that we look at. And as you can see in the whimsical report, that's how we kind of map that out in stages as well. So moving from lead to marketing qualified lead to is usually where the marketing hub comes in handy. So basically, what can we do in HubSpot that first of all gets your business in front of the eyes of people who have never heard of you before? How do we get them, interested enough so that they want to give you their details and learn more about your business and get more value out of you? Once they come into your CRM portal, what do you want to happen? How do we want to nurture these leads so that they eventually become keen enough that they want to have, one-to-one conversations with you and learn more about your business and how they can work with you? So that entire process is really where the marketing hub of HubSpot comes in. And these basically are the main life cycle stages we look at. And then moving forward, that's where Sales Hub really comes in. And that's where Tommy will kind of go through those tools as well. But yeah, I really like kind of starting off these conversations with the life cycle stage because it gives you some context as to, where the tools come in handy at every single stage. So just going into the HubSpot portal, I know that we've got some HubSpot reps here in our audience as well. So I know you might be familiar with many of these tools, but for those who are not, I thought it might be useful to just kind of give you a quick tour of HubSpot's marketing hub. So as you know, you probably have the context database down here, and the lifecycle stages are usually mapped to the context as well. So in HubSpot, first of all, you have objects. So objects are things like contacts, companies, products, deals, and objects can be associated to each other in different ways. So for example, if a contact works for Google, there will be a contact record, a company record called Google, and they'll be associated to one another. So it's really important to understand that object structure as well in HubSpot, because within them, you have properties that will be associated to those contacts, and lifecycle stage is one of those properties that is associated with contacts. So you've got your main database down here, and the database basically in HubSpot feeds out to the multiple hubs that HubSpot has. So that includes marketing, sales, service, CMS, and operations as well. So thinking about that, the first step, I guess, in marketing is how do you attract the audience to come into the CRM? So that involves maybe running some social ad campaigns, organic social media, SEO strategy, and that's where Marketing Hub comes in. So first of all, you've got the marketing ads platform down here, which you can see we've got a dummy portal here, where you can connect your ad campaign accounts. So it could be LinkedIn ads, Facebook ads, and Google ads. So you can actually manage and build the campaigns within HubSpot themselves, within the HubSpot CRM, and measure the ROI of those contacts that come into the CRM. So for example, if someone interacts with a Facebook ad lead form, they put their information in the Facebook ad form, that information gets fed straight into HubSpot, and they become a contact in there. And then from there, it's kind of the nurturing process up to becoming a marketing qualified lead. Another cool thing to know about the ads feature as well is you can create audiences using contact lists in HubSpot. So for example, if you have two groups of contacts, one is based in the UK and one's based in China, you can create audiences within HubSpot's data, knowing the segments you've got in HubSpot, and use them as retargeting lists to run remarketing campaigns as well. Obviously, country is just one of the many different segmentations you can do. Yeah, the world's really your oyster when it comes to what sort of data you can collect in HubSpot, because you've got custom properties and you can decide what sort of data you like to collect over time. So along with ad campaigns, you've got marketing emails. This really comes in handy in the nurturing phase, but of course, there's many other reasons you can create marketing emails for. But in HubSpot, you can create two types of emails. Well, three types, but the two main ones really, I would say, and the ones that we use most often, regular emails and automated emails. Regular emails is basically used for sending out newsletters, so monthly things that you've got scheduled dates for. And then you've also got automated emails, which basically enables you to create emails that go into an automated workflow. So let's say you run a Facebook ad, as an example again, someone fills in the contact details in the form, they go into a CRM, you can set up an automation where once they've interacted with that ad, they start getting fed nurturing emails in the CRM. And then from there, you can use HubSpot to track their opens, their engagement, their clicks. Within those emails, you might have links to, let's say, another page on your website, maybe downloadable assets that you got to attract their attention, and all that stuff, all those activities will be tracked in HubSpot contact records as well, which is really cool. If we have some time at the end, we can also look at the contact record activity. But basically, lots of different kinds of emails that you can create. Another cool feature within marketing emails is smart content as well, which we'll also notice is available in landing pages. And basically, you can actually send out an email that shows different content to different segments of your audience. So it's really cool to look into. In fact, we could probably run a whole session just on smart content. So I won't go too much into detail with them. But you also notice with lots of HubSpot tools, they all have their separate analytics as well. So within marketing emails, for example, you can actually look at the overall open rates, click-through rates, reply rates. There's a whole bunch of different statistics that you can look at in here, and you can even create separate reports for them as well. And you can also look at your email health, which we don't have too much data here at the moment, but when you do set it up, it will tell you, how healthy your email domain is, for example. You can also build landing pages within HubSpot. So this is usually built on a subdomain if you have your website built on a separate CMS. And landing pages has the same building functionality as you would have in your marketing emails. So they're all drag and drop styled pages as well. So I should have mentioned that in email marketing emails. They're all modular. So if you don't have, let's say, an internal dev team that can build these for you, you can actually just build them yourself pretty much. So it's very user friendly. And then you've got social media, which just allows you to link up all your social accounts. LinkedIn is one that we use very often at BBD Boom. And there's also a new beta feature where you can now build your social content on a full page. And you can even create a draft post that can be repurposed across multiple social accounts as well. So what that means is you can create, let's see if we can do it here. Oh, I think we are actually on the social account now. So I'm just going to close this. But basically, you can choose the accounts that you are you want to post from, create a draft, and you'll see that I'm just going to do a test one here. You can actually edit the variations of that draft for the separate platforms that you're posting on. So as we know, different social campaigns, also different social platforms have different languages. So it helps you to kind of just tweak as you go, depending on the platform that you're posting on. Then you've got some pretty cool SEO tools down here. So if you have an SEO strategy, highly recommend looking at that. So you can actually scan your website for technical site health, and it tells you what issues there are or how you can further optimize the website for SEO, including improving page speed, making sure, all the bits are fixed up. Naturally you want to not have any red things on here. So within these, they'll tell you what is wrong and how you can fix it. They even tell you who is in charge of fixing the issue as well. And then you've also got blogs, which you can build on a subdomain, and they have SEO recommendations in the blog builder as well, which can help you think about how you want to optimize those blogs for specific keywords. I won't go into too much details with the other tools, but the last thing I do want to mention with HubSpot in terms of Marketing Hub is the scoring property. So this is something that we use very common with our clients in terms of the whimsical pod, thinking of how we want to nurture those clients and identify who's a qualified lead too. So basically, how do we identify a lead versus an MQL? So HubSpot has a really cool property scoring feature here that allows you to assign scores to different sort of engagements. So for example, if a contact is on a pricing page, they have a high intent of buying, we can assign a really high positive score to that, along with other engagements like email clicks and stuff like that. The higher the score, the more qualified the lead is. And that is a really great way for us to identify who's a qualified lead that we can send over to the sales team to do further discovery. I'll stop here with the Marketing Hub. There's a lot more things that I'd love to cover, but I know we've got limited time at the moment. So back to you, Andy.
Thanks, Clarinda. Clarinda, I've got two questions for you.
Yeah.
What is your favorite feature in Marketing Hub? It can be either pro or enterprise. What's your favorite feature?
I wouldn't. So SEOs, I'm gonna kind of default to SEO because I used to be an SEO specialist. So I appreciate the structure that they've got in here. I really like they've got these topic clusters that you can build out and basically do a full content plan just within HubSpot and just make sure that all your internal linking is set up properly and things like that. But overarching in HubSpot, workflows are just everything. You can do so many things with workflows, not just in Marketing Hub, but in Sales Hub as well. From setting up sales funnel automations, marketing email sequences to, updating deal stages and then, assigning lifecycle stages as well. So there's a whole bunch of things you can do with it. It's really quite fun just figuring out how to do things as well when we have very specific use cases.
Amazing, thanks, Clarinda. Question number 2 for you. You're thinking about buying a piece of software. HubSpot's one of the ones you're looking at. Why would you pick Marketing Hub?
I just like how everything is integrated. So you can literally just do all your marketing within HubSpot. You can build campaigns in HubSpot. Your data is all collected in one CRM, and you can use that data for other purposes like sales and service as well. So it's just nice to have everything in one place rather than having to jump from one tab to another. And pretty much, like I'd say 80% of your marketing needs are, maybe 90% is covered in Marketing Hub. So you could literally have your whole marketing team just using HubSpot to run their campaigns.
Amazing. Thank you, Clarinda. Thank you very much. So we're now going to move on to Tommy for Sales Hub, but to kind of to blend the two together. But again, majority of the conversations we have with our customers is they are talking about where things start in the funnel, which is where Marketing Hub comes into play. What we're now going to move on to is then how you manage those leads through the funnel. So Tommy, if you wouldn't mind sharing screen and give a very quick 15 minutes on Sales Hub, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to Sales Hub, every great Sales Hub onboarding starts with the planning and strategy, so the discovery session. So before we get into HubSpot, I'd actually just like to run through an example of a user journey. So when referring to the lifecycle stages, as Clarinda mentioned previously with the Marketing Hub, the Sales Hub typically fits in around this phase of the user journey. So whenever someone becomes marketing qualified and then transfers over to sales qualified as a sales qualified lead, and then entering through from sales qualified lead into an opportunity, and that's what HubSpot would refer to as the deal pipeline. So if we look at the end-to-end journey, but more specifically from marketing qualified lead to sales qualified, there could be a number of ways a contact inside of HubSpot would become sales qualified. One of which would be high intent conversion. So if someone is quite literally on the website and has submitted contact us forms, generally with the clients we work with, they would be marked straight as sales qualified because they need a sales rep to reach straight out to them. And then you also have that gray area in the middle, which are the people that are receiving marketing communications but aren't necessarily at the stage yet where they're sales ready. So this is where, as Clarinda mentioned as well, lead scoring and company fit scoring can come in really handy with HubSpot. So once those contacts reach a specific threshold, they're then passed over to the sales team. But effectively, once the sales team have marked contact as sales qualified and they're in active communication with the prospect, they would then enter into the deal pipeline as an opportunity. So what's really important about mapping out a Sales Hub onboarding is actually taking it back to square one and really understanding the business process, getting this mapped out so then it can be translated into HubSpot and the relevant tools. So as you'll see from this diagram, what we typically do when we're working with our customers is throughout each stage of the sales journey, we really need to home in on what is the manual work that is currently taking place inside the sales process, and how do we alleviate a lot of that friction by removing the manual work and incorporating some of the HubSpot features such as automations and workflows, all of those really good features there. So effectively, once a deal is moving through those stages in the pipeline, we're looking at things inside HubSpot such as automating tasks for sales rep to follow up on specific deals, sending internal communications when deals are perhaps stuck in one stage for a prolonged period of time. And then also looking at integrations within the sales process that help bring in other systems into HubSpot and work better as a whole. So more specifically, when we're talking about integrations in the sales process, and we will run through some inside HubSpot, whenever a deal is then closed won, a lot of businesses we work with have other systems that they're using, either from a finance perspective or account management perspective. What's really key about this is you can also integrate those platforms with HubSpot. So there are some big names out there like Xero, like fulfillment systems, ERP systems such as NetSuite that serve really well on their own, but need to work with HubSpot via those integrations to really smoothen out that process. So what's really key about that is just, again, really homing in on some of the manual work that's taking place and seeing how you can align all of those systems with HubSpot so it serves as a source of truth. So how does that look inside of HubSpot? If we just jump into the portal and do a quick orientation around the Sales Hub. So Clarinda mentioned within HubSpot, you have the idea of contacts, companies, and deals. Those are the typically standard objects. Now, whenever you're looking at a contact, you'll have all of the properties on the left-hand side, which are effectively just data points and ways you can track specific information about an individual. You've got the activity timeline in the middle, and then you've got the associations here. So as you can see with this example contact, this contact has 2 deals associated to them, which are created inside the sales pipeline. So the way that looks inside of the system is if we go under the sales tab and then deals, this will take you straight into the Sales Hub. Now, this is the main place you'll be looking when you're starting to map out those stages, as you could see from the example journey, and translating those into HubSpot. So you'll have, in this example, it's a sales pipeline. So the first stage is appointment scheduled, but it goes through the relevant different stages all the way until that deal is either closed won in an ideal world, or if it's closed lost. Inside HubSpot, you can have more than one pipeline. So you could have a sales pipeline, you could have a pipeline for specific renewals, where you're capturing the information post-sale and taking it through that journey. I've even seen customers working with specific invoice pipelines so they can track once a deal is closed won, what's happening to that invoice once it's been sold. And if we just go into the back-end settings of the deal pipeline inside of HubSpot, when you're configuring those pipeline stages, specifically for the sales pipeline, let's say, you can actually set deal probabilities. So this is where we can start to talk about weighting of deal amounts. So if a deal is in the first stage, what is the probability that that deal will become a closed won deal, and then start to weight the amounts in the reporting. Another really good aspect about the Sales Hub is the fact that you can, and this is quite a new feature, but you can choose which users are able to edit deals at specific stages. So if there's a really key stage where perhaps a contract is sent out and you only want senior decision makers to be able to progress that deal onwards, then you've got the full users and permissions capabilities there to access. And then again, with the update stage properties, you can set required fields for each stage of the sales process as the sales team are working through their deals to ensure the right data is being captured and deals cannot progress unless the required information is filled in. So this is a really good way to safeguard your deal pipeline to ensure all of those really good reports that everyone wants to see at the end of the month are actually pulling through some meaningful data. Now, when it comes to the implementation of the deal stages, there's a layer behind this, which is really enabled by the HubSpot tools, and it's the automate section. So this is where we start to talk about which workflows need to be set up at each stage of the sales journey to remove a lot of that manual work. Now, some common examples of this and use cases are whenever, for example, a contract or a quote is sent within HubSpot, being able to automate that to the next stage, which could be closed won if it's signed by e-signature, or if a deal is stuck in qualified to buy for more than 7 days, sending out an internal notification to chase the specific person or prospect about the deal. So there's all these really good automations you can put in play inside HubSpot. Now, I've actually picked out a few that I wanted to go through in more detail, but there are tons and tons in the system, and you can really customize this any way you want towards your business. Now, one of the first automations that would be worth talking about is HubSpot have recently launched a native WhatsApp integration. Now, what this will allow you to do, whereas before you could send automated emails via workflow, you can also schedule tasks. Now within HubSpot workflows, you can actually send WhatsApp messages via WhatsApp business accounts. So this is a really good way to remove a lot of that manual work day to day that the sales reps have to do. So if a deal reaches a specific stage or you're trying to chase an individual, you can automate this via WhatsApp. So it just really brings in another method of communication into the system. And I'd like to see more companies using this moving forward as well. And I think it's going to be quite a game changer for HubSpot, that is. Another really good integration with HubSpot is actually the LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So within the app marketplace, what you will see is there is a native plugin with LinkedIn. So this will pop up on the right-hand side of any contact as you're working through the system, and it extracts the LinkedIn data from the associated contact. And so you're able to see that directly within HubSpot. What this really means is you don't need to log out of HubSpot into LinkedIn, constantly switch tabs. You've got all of that data in one place, and it's a really nice centralized view within the system. And then again, when it comes to other integrations, I'll just flick up the app marketplace tab because I think this is really relevant and also something that HubSpot are continually improving over time. But there are hundreds and hundreds of apps that plug into HubSpot. So from a sales perspective, we talked a bit about the post-sales process. So any finance systems that you have operating within your business that need to plug into HubSpot, rest assured there are native apps that do this with HubSpot. So like I said before, Xero is a big one. You've got QuickBooks here, NetSuite as well. So with all of these apps, you can quite literally click into them, install the app, and get them running within a matter of minutes for a lot of these. So this really brings in the opportunity of being able to integrate more systems into HubSpot and refine that sales process. So we've talked a bit about the integrations. I think what would be worth running through next are just some of the more general sales features as well that help enable the sales team speed up their day-to-day process. So the first of which is email templates. So for any one-to-one, I see Andy has a question there.
Yeah, Tommy, we've got a couple of questions coming through. So as you're coming onto this, I wanted to just throw a couple of questions into you to answer as you're going through this next phase. But two very similar questions. One is someone has asked about how they can get company information into HubSpot. So for example, if I went and added BBD Boom as a new company to HubSpot, would I then have to manually go and add in all the information, or is there any tool you could use that could basically go out and find all the information about HubSpot, about BBD Boom? And then the second question to this, which is very similar, is I currently do all of my data management on Excel. You know what's coming. How do I take that Excel spreadsheet from what it is now and map it into HubSpot? So if you can factor those two questions in what you're going through next, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, brilliant. So when it comes to the first question there, so data enrichment within HubSpot, if we use companies as an example here, so that there's a number of ways you can access and enrich your data inside the system. The first and easy way is actually using what HubSpot call the HubSpot Insights database. So any company that is created within the system inside HubSpot that has a domain name, so as you can see here, BBD Boom, HubSpot has an insights database, and it will automatically populate a lot of the standard information about a company, which it scrapes from the web. So as you can see here, estimated things like company description taken from Google, the LinkedIn company page, any number of employees, postal codes, standard address information. That's one way you can enrich that data. Now, if you want to get slightly more complex with this, there are other apps on the market, third-party connectors from the marketplace that allow you to enrich your HubSpot data. So there's a couple that I can name to mind. So you've got ZoomInfo. With ZoomInfo, you can enrich your data from a number of different systems, such as LinkedIn. There's also other systems like Phantom Buster online, which do that. But what I would recommend doing for anyone that's looking to enrich more of their data inside the system is actually first checking out the app marketplace and seeing via filtering on the categories which ones have the most reviews and which ones will fulfill your use case. Now, the second question there, Andy, you talked a bit about someone who is using an Excel spreadsheet, which again is a highly manual process, and how they actually get all of the historic data into HubSpot. So from the Sales Hub, and actually this isn't just relevant for the Sales Hub, but there are a number of ways you can import your data into the system. The simplest and easiest approach is actually using the native import tool. So what you can do with imports is you can quite literally export your CSVs or Excel files from your computer. Let's say it's one file. You first need to just select which objects you want to import into. So if we're talking about contact information, you would want to click contacts, but if it's about specific deals or opportunities, you would select deals. But if we use contacts as the main example here, you can select contacts as the object once you're importing your data. You'll notice as well, HubSpot have now recently released the ability to import activities into the system. This is a really big feature and upgrade because previously you would never be able to import activities unless you were to go down a third-party route, such as one of the systems on the market like Import2 or TrueJ, even using the HubSpot APIs to get those activities in. So they're really expanding on that import tool now. And effectively, once you've exported that data, you load your file in. It will then take you through the next screen, which is matching your CSV columns to the relevant HubSpot properties. Once you've imported that data, it will process and it will show you if there's been any errors in the import that you need to resolve, and all of your data will be loaded in seamlessly. So what I would always advise when you've got a lot of data that needs importing into HubSpot, especially for the first time, and what I do with customers is guide them through this process. So doing first a pilot run, small subset of data, making sure you're happy with that, reviewing it, and then opening that up to the wider database. But just going back to the Sales Hub and some of the tools which allow you to speed up your day-to-day work, we were talking a bit about email templates. So this is really relevant for sales reps that want to send one-to-one emails. Any emails that you're sending on a regular basis that's perhaps taking a lot of time, you can actually set up templates for this now. And HubSpot have quite an extensive template library. So if you need any ideas, you can refer back to them. But what this uses is personalization tokens within the emails to load in data from the HubSpot properties. So this really personalizes the messaging when you're sending out those emails. And using the HubSpot extensions that you can plug into the likes of Gmail and Outlook, you can actually access it straight from your email inboxes without having to log into HubSpot. And once you have a set of templates built out, you can also use the sequences tool. And again, this is for one-to-one emails. So if you want to enroll someone into a specific sequence with delays in between, you can create a sequence and it will be working away in the background. Once someone's enrolled, they'll get a series of follow-up emails. And if they automatically, or if they reply to that email, they'll be removed from the sequence automatically. So these are just really good tools without going into a lot of detail that the Sales Hub offer that can remove a lot of that manual work there. Now, the third point I wanted to talk a bit about as well is reporting under the Sales Hub. So HubSpot have a lot of reporting capabilities. So when we're working with customers, what we would usually identify at the start is, okay, what is your wish list of reports that you want to see? What is going to be some of your top KPIs to view in the system? So HubSpot is fully equipped for all of this sales reporting. Now, the first place to start is the dashboards. So what you will see here is, if we go to create a new dashboard, HubSpot have a lot of these great out-of-the-box templates, some of which are related to sales. So if you're a sales manager in there, you can quite literally spin up a sales manager dashboard with some of the recommended reports inside the system quite easily. Now, for any reports that aren't native to HubSpot or aren't within the report library, you also have the custom report builder. So with all the work that HubSpot have been doing on that over the last couple of years, it's really expanded and it's a lot more flexible with what you can do. You don't have to be a data analyst to spin up these reports. So when we're working with our customers, we typically identify what are the key dashboards that need to be set up that you're reporting on a monthly basis and perhaps showing to the board members. And again, with the Sales Hub, you've got forecasting, which falls under the reporting bracket. So for any sales managers out there that need to track quotas amongst specific sales reps, you can edit your goals inside the system. Create a revenue goal. So let's say we'll start from scratch here. And we'll call this one 2023. I want to be reporting on deal revenue or amount in company currency. We'll set the aggregation type down here. We want to do this by close date. And then you can select the users which you want to set up the goal for. And in this example, I want to set a goal on a monthly basis. So you can quite literally just load in different quotas that the sales reps need to achieve on a monthly basis. So once you go through the steps and save those goals and actually reflect back to the forecast tool itself, you'll be able to pull together some of these really good sales analytics reports. So in this example, we can start to look at and answer questions like quota attainment, which reps are meeting their quota on a monthly basis, and actually looking at this over time as well, or comparing it between month on month. So you can really start to see a full visibility of not only how they're using HubSpot, but are they generating the right revenue that they need to from the system. So they really break down these reports into 4 different areas. So you've got activities, so looking at how the team are using HubSpot, what emails they're sending on a day-to-day basis, what tasks they've completed, who's completing the most tasks. You can also start to pick into questions like which deals, what is the average time a deal spends within a specific deal stage? And if it's spending too long in the deal stage, how do we optimize that? And then also revenue forecasts over time. So what is the forecasted pipeline revenue and some of the sales outcomes as well, like average deal size over time and how that changes within the system. So I think all in all, when it comes to the Sales Hub reporting, like I said before, it's really extensive inside the system. And the last point to touch upon really, and Andy, you mentioned this towards the start as well, is just user adoption. So towards the end of the onboarding for Sales Hub, making sure not only the sales reps, but also some of the senior decision makers are happy with HubSpot and having those designated training sessions penciled in.
Amazing, thanks, Tommy. And just sticking on reporting, because we've had a really, really good question come through, which I know Clarinda was responding to, and it might be worthwhile discussing it on the actual chat, sorry, actually in the demo, is to do with conversion tracking. So I know, and I actually feel this user's pain, because with the launch of lifecycle stages that HubSpot's brought out, there can be some confusion in lifecycle stages and company status, because both actually have the same level of information on them. So Clarinda, I know you have literally just typed a response, but for everyone's benefit, the question is, how can we report on funnel conversions? For example, looking at lead stages and trying to figure out how they can align all of their sales process and contact levels with company and deals. So I kind of think this is a combination of the two of you, I'm afraid. So Clarinda, I'm going to start with yourself with funnel metrics. And then Tommy, I'm going to throw the end over to yourself to talk about how that can then align with company and deal information.
Yeah, essentially with the questions that you're asking, in terms of funnels, like I've mentioned in the answer as well, you can actually build some really cool funnel templates in HubSpot, so you don't even have to do them customized. So if you go into the reporting tool and go to the templates, they should have a section on the top called funnels. And in there, when you click into it, there's various types of funnels and conversion rate type reports that you can look at. And that can be funnel reporting for life cycle stages, which we talked about, and also deal stages if you're just wanting to track the sales process, deal stages going through a sales pipeline. In terms of lead stage, I'm not exactly sure if you're referring to deal stages or lead status, because those are two different things. Deal stages are more Sales Hub related, like Tommy's been mentioning along the sales pipeline. A lead status is also a property against a contact. And usually a salesperson would use that to identify whether a qualified lead is hot or not. So basically what that means is you could have a lead that's fully qualified, works for a company that fits your ICPs, but you reach out to them and they don't respond to you. So in that case, you'd use the lead status, for example, to mark them as not interested or just dormant, as an example. And that way you know not to reach out to them again. Hopefully that answers the question.
I think you could also, to align company, deal and contact together, you could create, so if you go up to enterprise level in sales, you can create some custom objects. In custom objects, it would allow you to be able to create some custom fields so that whatever comes through to deal and is updated gets automatically pushed through to company and pushed through to contact. So if there's set things that you want to have based on outcomes, then those can all be created automatically using custom objects. Another really good question, just to go back, because I think we missed this a little bit whilst Clarinda was talking. Clarinda, question has come through about what is the difference between Marketing Pro and Marketing Enterprise?
Sorry, I prepared for this one. I've got like, so HubSpot, yeah, basically, if you want to know like the granular information of the difference between a pro and an enterprise, HubSpot does have a pricing page that kind of tells you exactly what the differences are. But on a kind of top level, the main differences in terms of the Marketing Pro and enterprise license, I would say, is the enterprise license really gives you access to smart data and rich data. So what I mean by that is, for example, they have a feature called predictive lead scoring. So when I showed you previously in the Marketing Hub, they had a property called lead scoring where you can assign points to different engagements or touch points that a contact has performed. In the enterprise level, you have predictive lead scoring, whereby you don't even have to set up any lead scoring. Basically, HubSpot uses AI to determine whether or not a lead, based on your historical data, is qualified. So that's a really cool feature to have, and it saves you so much time as well. So basically just saves you a lot of manual labor, I would say, and then, you know, constantly having to optimize those lead scoring as well. Another cool thing that I really like about enterprise is the kind of reporting you get to do as well. So not too long ago, there's a new kind of buyer journey reporting that you can create in HubSpot. So if you're familiar with tools like Google Analytics, for example, you'll notice that they can track things like behavioral paths. So what happens after one person goes to a homepage? What's the next step? What's the next step after that? So HubSpot can actually create reports using the enterprise license to track every single step of that journey. So it gives you a really good understanding of how people explore your business and, you know, learn about you from the very get-go. Yeah, those are two main things that I really enjoy. Obviously, there's so many other things that enterprise gives you, but really I think the AI features specifically is really interesting, and a lot of our clients who have enterprise have definitely enjoyed it as well.
Amazing, thanks Clarinda. Tommy, final question for you. What is your favorite tool that you use most frequently in Sales Hub?
Yeah, that is a really good question. I would say my favorite tool within Sales Hub would have to be the app marketplace. I think just the way you can plug so many different systems into HubSpot, especially the sales process, like we said, the data enrichment, the ability to integrate with finance systems, and Also the new addition of WhatsApp, like that's such a game changer, and yeah, definitely the one I use most often.
And you mentioned WhatsApp. Any other communication tools that HubSpot integrates with, for example, Slack?
Yeah, definitely. We've got Slack. There's other systems like Monday.com for those of you that love your project management, teamwork.com. Oh, there's hundreds out there. I'd have to double check the list.
Amazing. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone, for your time. Really appreciate you guys taking the time out to listen to us for the last 55 minutes to talk through HubSpot sales and marketing. You can see the slide on your screen. We work with multiple companies, and I'm pleased to say that a lot of the brands we work with are globally based. So we work with US customers, we work with Canadian customers, we work with customers based in Singapore, and we work with customers based in the UK. We are time zone agnostic. That's a mouthful. Essentially means, hey, if you say, oh, when we work with somebody in New Zealand, which is why I'm bringing up the time zone. So if you say to us that you want to work certain hours, we'll make sure our team is on hand to work with you in those time zones. But don't forget, implementation work can be done behind the scenes, so people can get on with things and doing things ready for when you log on and to check work. So the customer success team will be there to support you as and when you need them. Any final questions from Tommy, Clarinda, before we sign off? Sorry, apologies. I think my internet literally just died. I'm back. So I was literally just saying, thank you very much for your time. If you do have any questions, these things never go to plan. Thank you very much for your time. If you do have any final questions, please feel free to go through to the BBD Boom website, post your questions in, look up myself, Tommy, Clarinda on LinkedIn, and please ask us any questions you might have.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.